It all started with a simple lottery ticket, but now it feels like the entire universe is at stake. The moment I saw those numbers match on the screen, my heart skipped a beat. $400 million. dollars. 400 million reasons to leave behind this suffocating life and step into a world of endless possibilities. My mind raced faster than ever before, painting vivid images of what could be. A luxurious penthouse overlooking Manhattan's skyline, a private island in the Pacific where no one could bother me, and even owning an NBA team just because I can. This wasn't just money. It was freedom, power, and validation for every struggle I'd endured. But then he spoke. The man who thinks he owns everything, including my dreams. Ben stood there smirking, as if he had already planned out his revenge against his ex-wife. He muttered something about buying her company and firing her on the spot, claiming that she deserved it after all she'd done to him during their divorce. His eyes gleamed with malice, not joy or excitement like mine. It infuriated me. How dare he reduce such a monumental win to petty vengeance? That's when the argument began. A storm brewing between us that would soon spiral out of control. I told him the truth. The numbers weren't random. They came to me in a dream last night, vivid and undeniable. A figure cloaked in gold appeared, whispering each number into my ear. It felt divine, fated. This wasn't luck. It was destiny choosing me. But Ben laughed, mocking my story as if it were some childish fantasy. Instead, he boasted about how he braved torrential rain and biting winds just to buy the ticket. If it weren't for me, he sneered, you wouldn't have anything. Why'd thou? As if his small act of stepping outside somehow overshadowed my vision, my intuition, my right to this life-changing fortune. The tension crackled in the air, thick enough to choke on. Neither of us wanted to back down, and the stakes only grew higher with every word exchanged. Little did we know, this fight was merely the beginning of a nightmare neither of us could foresee. The tension in the room was suffocating, like a pressure cooker about to explode. Ben's careless words, "It's my personal property," hung in the air, sharp and cold, slicing through any semblance of civility that had remained between us. I felt a surge of betrayal, as if he had just slapped me across the face. How dare he claim ownership over something that I knew deep down belonged to me? My hands trembled with rage, and before I could stop myself, I grabbed the nearest object, a glass cup, and hurled it against the wall. It shattered into 1,000 glittering shards, echoing the chaos inside me. You think you can just take this from me? I hissed, my voice trembling but laced with venom. After everything we've been through together, you're going to act like this is all yours? You didn't even choose those numbers. Ben flinched at the sound of breaking glass, but quickly masked his surprise with defiance. He crossed his arms, his jaw tightening. Oh, so now you're destroying things? Real mature, Jenny, and let's not pretend you're not trying to manipulate me here. You're using our relationship to get what you want. Always have. His accusation hit me like a punch to the gut. Manipulative? Was he serious? I could feel my blood boiling, every word out of his mouth fueling the fire within me. Manipulative? Are you kidding me right now? I spat back, taking a step closer to him. You're the one who thinks money makes you untouchable. If you don't give me that ticket, I swear on everything holy, I'll expose every single one of your dirty secrets online. Everyone will know about how you secretly sold your best friend's car to pay off your gambling debts. Do you really want the whole world to see that side of you? For a moment, Ben froze, his confidence wavering. His eyes darted away, betraying the fear beneath his bravado. But then, like a cornered animal, he retaliated with equal ferocity. Go ahead, he sneered. though his voice wavered slightly. But good luck proving anything in court when I sue you for defamation. You think anyone would believe your crazy accusations? Face it, Jenny, without me, you'd still be stuck in this dump. His words stung more than I cared to admit. They struck at the core of my insecurities, the nagging fear that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't enough on my own. But instead of letting him see my vulnerability, I doubled down. Court? You really want to go there, Ben? Fine. Let's drag this out in front of everyone. But remember, I know where all your skeletons are buried. Every lie, every shady deal, you name it. By the time I'm done, no one will ever trust you again. The room fell silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the background. We stood there, glaring at each other. Two warriors locked in a battle neither of us wanted to lose. The air was thick with unspoken threats and unresolved grievances, each of us waiting for the other to blink first. Finally, Ben broke the silence, his tone dripping with sarcasm. You're unbelievable, you know that? Always playing the victim. Well, guess what? This ticket stays with me. That was the final straw. Without thinking, I lunged toward him, grabbing his arm. Give it back, I screamed, my voice raw with desperation, but Ben twisted away, retreating into the bathroom and slamming the door shut behind him. The lock clicked into place, leaving me standing there, fuming and powerless. The fury inside me was a wildfire, consuming every ounce of reason I had left. Ben's smug face behind that bathroom door was the final straw. How dare he act so entitled, as if he were the victim in all this? Without hesitation, I turned the lock on the bathroom door with a decisive click. Then, grabbing the nearest chair, I wedged it firmly under the handle, ensuring there was no way he could escape. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, each beat echoing the words I wanted to scream at him. This is mine, and you're not getting away with it. Jenny, what are you doing? Ben shouted from inside, his voice laced with panic. You can't just lock me in here. Open the door right now. Oh, shut up, Ben. I snapped back, crossing my arms defiantly. I'm not opening anything until you hand over that ticket. You think you can play games with me? Think again. His muffled curses reverberated through the thin wooden door, but they only fueled my determination. Inside that tiny bathroom, Ben must have realized how dire his situation truly was. There were no windows, no escape route, and the walls seemed to close in around him. His breathing grew heavier, more erratic, as reality sank in. He began pounding on the door, yelling for help, but his cries fell on deaf ears. The neighbors were throwing some sort of party next door, their booming music drowning out any chance of someone hearing his desperate pleas. Help! Somebody help! Ben screamed, his voice cracking with desperation. She's trapped me in here. She's going to kill me. I rolled my eyes at his dramatics. Oh, please, don't be so overdramatic, Ben. No one's killing anyone. Just give me back what's rightfully mine and we won't have a problem. But Ben wasn't listening. Or maybe he couldn't hear me over the sound of his own hysteria. Instead, he pulled out his phone and dialed 911, his hands shaking as he tried to explain the situation. Hello? Yes, I need help. My girlfriend has locked me in the bathroom and she's threatening to kill me. She has weapons, knives or something. Please hurry. My jaw dropped as I heard his absurd lies. Weapons? Knives? Was he insane? That's not true, I yelled, even though I knew the operator couldn't hear me. You liar! I don't have any weapons. Stop making things up. When the police finally arrived, sirens blaring outside our apartment, I felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief because maybe they could mediate this ridiculous standoff, and dread because I knew Ben would twist everything to paint himself as the victim. As the officers knocked on the door, I stood my ground, refusing to budge. Ma'am, we understand you've barricaded your partner in the bathroom, one officer said cautiously, eyeing the chair blocking the door. Can you tell us what happened? It's simple, I replied, trying to keep my tone calm despite the chaos swirling inside me. He stole my lottery ticket, the ticket I asked him to buy for me. It's worth $400 million, and he refuses to give it back. So yes, I locked him in there, but only because he won't cooperate. The officer raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. And did you threaten him, ma'am? Did you say you'd harm him? No, I exclaimed, exasperated. He's exaggerating everything. I never threatened him. I just want my ticket back. Meanwhile, Ben's voice echoed from behind the door, trembling with faux vulnerability. Officers, please. She's unstable. She's been acting crazy ever since I told her the ticket belongs to me. She'll do anything to get it, even hurt me. I clenched my fists, resisting the urge to kick the door down myself. How dare he lie so blatantly? The audacity of the man was infuriating. But before I could respond, the officers intervened, demanding that both of us step back and allow them to assess the situation. Ben's outrageous lies to the police were the final blow. She threatened me with the kitchen knife, he exclaimed, his voice trembling with fake fear. My blood boiled at his audacity. How could he twist the truth so cruelly? Without thinking, I stormed into the living room and grabbed the nearest mirror, smashing it against the wall. I never touched a knife, you liar! I screamed, shards of glass raining down around me. The room felt like it was spinning as my frustration reached its peak. When the police arrived, their presence did little to ease the tension that had been brewing between Ben and me. I stood tall, arms crossed, trying to project an air of calm indifference despite the storm raging inside me. This man is trying to steal my future, I said sharply, meeting the officer's eyes with unwavering resolve. He knows as well as I do that the ticket belongs to me. He's manipulating the situation for his own gain. My voice was steady, but carried an icy edge, each word dripping with accusation. To drive my point home, I added, I even asked him to buy it specifically because I couldn't leave the house at the time. I chose the numbers myself. It was my dream, my vision. I demand you check the security cameras outside. They'll prove who truly owns this ticket. Ben, on the other hand, looked utterly unhinged. His face flushed red as he raised his hands in exasperation. She's insane, he shouted, pointing a finger at me like some sort of prosecutor in a courtroom drama. You think she's harmless? Let me tell you something. This isn't the first time she's acted violently. Remember last year when I forgot her birthday? She threw my phone into the toilet. The toilet! His tone escalated with every syllable, making him sound more hysterical than credible. And now she's threatening to kill me over a lottery ticket? What kind of person does that? The two officers exchanged glances, clearly unsure how to navigate the chaos unfolding before them. One of them, a tall officer with graying hair, tried to mediate by offering a lighthearted analogy. Let me ask you both something, he began, scratching his chin thoughtfully. If a husband buys flowers for his wife but then decides to keep them for himself, does the wife have the right to take them back? For a brief moment, silence fell over the room. Both Ben and I stared at the officer, dumbfounded. It wasn't exactly the philosophical debate either of us expected, but it forced us to pause long enough to consider what absurdity we'd gotten ourselves into. But the respite was short-lived. Within seconds, our tempers flared again. Are you serious right now? I shot back, glaring at the officer. Flowers? You're comparing $400 million to a bouquet of roses? This isn't about romance or sentimentality, it's about justice. I turned toward Ben, jabbing a finger in his direction. He's lying through his teeth. You can't trust anything he says. He's a snake. Plain and simple. Don't act so innocent, Jenny, Ben retorted, his voice rising once more. You're the one who locked me in the bathroom and broke half the furniture in this apartment. Don't pretend you're the victim here. The officers sighed heavily, realizing they were dealing with a level of dysfunction far beyond standard disputes. Look, the second officer interjected firmly, stepping between us. We're not here to decide who gets the ticket. That's a matter for the courts if necessary. But we need everyone to calm down and cooperate. No more threats, no more accusations. Got it? Neither of us responded immediately. Instead, we continued glaring daggers at each other, refusing to back down. The weight of the situation pressed down on all of us, suffocating and unrelenting. And yet, amidst the anger and frustration, there lingered an undeniable truth. Neither of us could afford to lose this fight. Not when $400 million hung precariously in the balance. The tension in the room had reached a fever pitch, with both of us still glaring daggers at each other as the officers tried, and failed, to mediate. But in the midst of our heated argument, none of us noticed the small slip of paper that had silently slipped out of Ben's pocket. It fluttered like a leaf caught in an invisible breeze, drifting toward the open window behind him. The wind outside snatched it up without ceremony, carrying it through the gap and depositing it into the bushes below. It wasn't until the officers demanded to see the ticket itself that reality hit us like a freight train. "Where is it?" one officer asked, his tone firm but impatient. "We can't resolve this unless we have physical evidence." Ben froze, his face draining of color as he frantically patted down his pockets. "What do you mean, where is it? I just had it." His voice rose an octave, panic creeping into every syllable. I narrowed my eyes at him, suspicion bubbling over. "You're lying again, aren't you?" "You probably hid it somewhere so I wouldn't find it." "Admit it, Ben. You think you can cheat your way out of this? Are you insane?" He shot back, throwing up his hands in exasperation. "Why would I hide it when I know how important it is? No, Jenny, this is all on you. You must have thrown it out the window during one of your tantrums." My jaw dropped, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. How dare he accuse me of something so ridiculous? Me? Throw it out the window? Why would I do that? That money was supposed to change my life. If anything, you did it on purpose because you're too selfish to share. Our voices escalated once more, filling the room with accusations and counter-accusations. Neither of us wanted to entertain the possibility that the ticket might actually be gone, lost forever to the whims of fate. As the realization began to sink in, I felt lightheaded, my knees buckling beneath me. I staggered backward, clutching the edge of the table for support. No, this can't be happening," I whispered, my voice trembling. "All those dreams, everything we fought for?" Meanwhile, Ben was tearing the apartment apart in a desperate search for the missing ticket. He flung open drawers, overturned furniture, and even emptied the contents of the refrigerator onto the floor. "It has to be here somewhere," he shouted, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "Maybe it fell into my coat pocket. Or maybe you stuffed it under the couch cushions." His frantic movements only fueled my anxiety. I sank onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. The weight of what we'd lost pressed down on me, suffocating and relentless. Every dream I dared to imagine, the penthouse in Manhattan, The private island, the freedom to live life on my own terms, felt like ashes slipping through my fingers. We'll never find it, I murmured, tears streaming down my cheeks. It's gone. It's really gone. Ben stopped mid-search, his shoulders slumping in defeat. For a brief moment, the anger between us dissolved into shared despair. We exchanged a glance, and though neither of us spoke, the unspoken acknowledgement hung heavy in the air. $400 million had slipped through our grasp, and there was nothing we could do about it. But the truce didn't last long. Within seconds, blame resurfaced, sharper than ever. "This is your fault," Ben snapped, pointing an accusatory finger at me. "If you hadn't locked me in the bathroom, none of this would have happened." "Oh, don't pin this on me," I retorted, shooting to my feet. "If you hadn't been such a greedy liar, we wouldn't be in this mess." The officers watched helplessly as we descended back into chaos. Their earlier attempts at mediation rendered futile. One of them sighed deeply, shaking his head. "Look, arguing isn't going to bring the ticket back. If it's truly lost, you'll need to figure out how to move forward, not keep blaming each other." As much as I hated to admit it, he was right. But moving forward seemed impossible when the future we'd envisioned had vanished in the blink of an eye. And deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that this nightmare was far from over. With the realization that the ticket was gone, Jenny sprang into action, unwilling to let $400 million slip away without a fight. Grabbing her flashlight, a small but sturdy device she'd purchased months ago, she stormed outside, determined to scour every inch of the yard. "It has to be here somewhere," she muttered under her breath, crouching beside the bushes where the wind might have carried it. Despite the bright daylight, she flicked on the flashlight, its beam cutting through the shadows beneath the shrubs. Ben watched incredulously as she crawled around on all fours, muttering about how careless he had been. "You're ridiculous," Ben scoffed, folding his arms. "Why are you using a flashlight in broad daylight? This isn't some treasure hunt." "It's called being thorough," Jenny snapped back, not bothering to look up. "Unlike you, I don't give up when things get hard. And don't even think about touching this flashlight. It's mine." "Yours?" Ben laughed bitterly. "You're unbelievable. Even now you're clinging to petty things like ownership of a flashlight while our future is literally blowing away in the wind." Jenny shot him a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "Yes, mine. I paid for it, so keep your hands off. Or do you plan to steal this too?" Before Ben could respond, he spotted something glinting faintly on the roof. Without hesitation, he scrambled up a ladder leaning against the house, his heart pounding with hope. "Maybe it got stuck up here," he shouted down to Jenny, who rolled her eyes at his antics. But as he reached the peak of the roof, his foot slipped on the wet tiles, sending him sliding precariously toward the edge. For a terrifying moment, he teetered there, arms flailing, before managing to grab hold of the gutter. Jenny gasped despite herself, torn between concern and satisfaction at seeing him dangle helplessly. The commotion drew the officers back outside just in time to see Ben clinging to the roof and Jenny clutching the flashlight protectively. When Ben demanded she hand over the flashlight so he could search the ground below, Jenny refused vehemently. "I told you it's mine," she yelled, holding it close to her chest. The argument escalated quickly, both shouting accusations until they were nearly nose to nose. "That's enough," one officer barked, stepping between them. "Both of you stop this nonsense right now. If you can't find the ticket, we'll handle this legally at the station. Enough fighting." Reluctantly, they complied, though their frustration simmered just beneath the surface. As they followed the officers to the car, Jenny clutched the flashlight tightly, glaring daggers at Ben, who still looked pale from his near fall. Neither spoke, But the unspoken tension promised that this battle was far from over. In the midst of their despair, something unexpected happened. Something that neither Jenny nor Ben could have predicted. As they stood in the dimming light of dusk, surrounded by the chaos they had created, Jenny suddenly dropped to her knees. Tears streamed down her face as she clasped Ben's hands in hers. "Ben, I love you," she choked out, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "I'll do anything to keep us together, to share this life with you. Marry me, right now." For a moment, Ben was frozen, his mind struggling to process what had just occurred. Was she serious? After everything they'd said and done to each other, how could she propose such a thing? He stared at her, his expression caught somewhere between disbelief and confusion. Should he laugh at the absurdity of it all or cry at the sheer weight of their situation? His silence stretched on, heavy and suffocating. But before either of them could fully process the gravity of Jenny's impulsive proposal, reality came crashing back. The lottery ticket, the source of all their hopes and dreams, was still missing. A cold wave of dread washed over them as they realized the grim truth. Someone might have already found it. Someone who didn't care about their fights, their accusations, or their desperate attempts to reclaim control. "Do you think?" Jenny whispered, unable to finish her sentence. Her eyes darted toward the bushes outside where the wind had carried the ticket hours earlier. Ben shook his head slowly, his jaw tightening. "I don't know, but if someone picked it up..." He trailed off, unable to articulate the devastation that followed that thought. Without another word, they collapsed onto the front steps of their home side by side but worlds apart. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the yard. They sat in silence, arms wrapped around each other for comfort, though neither felt any solace. Their eyes remained fixed on the bushes, scanning for any sign of hope. A flicker of movement, a glint of paper. But there was nothing. Just emptiness. Jenny squeezed Ben's hand tightly, as if afraid he might disappear too. "What if it's really gone?" she murmured, her voice barely audible. Ben exhaled sharply, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Then we've lost more than just money." His words hung in the air, unspoken fears settling between them like a shroud. As night fell, they stayed there, clinging to each other and praying for a miracle. But even in their embrace, their eyes betrayed the anxiety gnawing at their hearts. The $400 million dream was slipping further away with every passing second, and with it, perhaps, their future together. Some people leave scars, others leave lessons. Burn and reborn stories that break you, then rebuild you.